over the next few slides, I am going to be going through a few different areas. We're going to call them the 9 areas that we can really kind of focus on that are super easy to be proactively thoughtful of and make any changes as needed to make our content accessible by UDL standards. One is text formatting. One of the ideas with text formatting is that if you, especially are a low vision reader, sometimes it's hard to tell if something is capitalized, like if it's bold as a heading or if it's bigger for a heading. It's harder to tell versus smaller print for the rest of the body. So what you need to do is distinguish it as a header text or distinguish it as normal body text. And what I mean by that is if you're like in Google Docs, for instance, oops, let's come right over here. What you can do is you can highlight, and right now it's at normal text. If someone has vision difficulties, they might not be able to see that this is the heading. This is actually the title of the lab. So what I would do is I would change the style of it. I would want them to know that this is the title, okay? And so yes, it did make it bigger, but I can always make it a little bit smaller to fit the formatting, okay? But now if they're going through or using a screen reader, they can tell that this is a title of a paper. So using the styles rather than just making fonts bigger and smaller or bold and italics, to distinguish the different types of text within a paper is very helpful for accessibility purposes. Another idea with text is to use simple fonts. 1 to 2 different fonts at the most, no smaller than 10, absolutely never smaller than 10, but actually 12 and above is better, okay, for readability. Now, we use a lot of PDFs and we'll continue to use a lot of PDFs. Luckily, we can use Cami and people can annotate, but that's not always the option that we have available. We want to make sure that any PDFs that we do put in are highlightable, not just as an image, but you can actually click on the words within them and highlight in the actual PDF. So let me see if I have an example of a PDF. This is some images. Okay, so here's a PDF. This is a picture, and I'll show you in the next one. Here's a picture. It's technically a PDF, but I could not, even if I opened it with Cami, I would not be able to go in and actually highlight this text. Yes, it's blurry. It's a picture I took, but technically it's in PDF format. But let's see, when it comes on, I cannot click and select any of the text. Okay, so you want to make sure that your text is selectable in a PDF. Now, the other thing is there was a shortcut that I just learned recently, and this is a productivity shortcut. It's not necessarily tied into UDL or accessibility, but I thought this was helpful for anyone who has ever had a picture of a worksheet or a worksheet in PDF, or maybe some notes that they've taken that they want to be able to upload into an editable document. So I learned this cool productivity trick, and I'm going to actually put the word tip on here. So that way you can change any flyer, text, picture into an editable Google Doc. And so the thing is, Google has OCR, ocular character recognition, okay, which means that it can read images. Now, this shortcut is going to work for text. Math peeps, you're out of luck. Charts and tables, it has a little bit of an issue with, and pictures, no can do. But if it's text that you're looking for, you can convert it to a Word doc. So here's the idea. OCR, Google Drive, can convert JPEGs, PNG, which are the 2 common image formats, and PDFs into editable Word docs. It takes the formatting out of the way, but then you can go in and do it. And so if you have a PDF already, let's see if I have one in here. If you have a PDF already, you can just go ahead and I'm going to show you how to open it. I don't want to use this one. I'll use this one in a second. Let me open. So let's see what kind of PDFs I have in here. If it loads up. So I am going to take one that I like downloaded somewhere. Okay. So here's a PDF that was just downloaded. Okay. Normally I would open with Cami and I can annotate right on it. But let's say we don't want to open with Cami. We want to open it in an editable Word doc. So what we can do is instead of opening it on the screen I was just at, we right click it, open with Google Docs. You cannot like double click it to go onto the black screen, the one that I was on first. That won't work. You have to right click it from the Google Drive menu. And then it will open it directly as an editable text. Okay, there we go. Now, that sounds cool and all. Yay, PDFs. We had Cami already, but sure, that's great. We can do it in Google Docs. Now, this is where the cool feature comes in. Let's say you're at a workshop or you're someplace and someone had this cool worksheet that you wanted a copy of. You take a picture with your phone, right? Or let's say that you found this worksheet and you scanned it with the Notes app on your phone. You're like, oh, I'm going to change it into a PDF. It's an old test maybe, before we started digitizing everything. Let's say you're reading a book or even taking handwritten notes. This works for handwritten notes too. You can just take a picture and upload it to your drive. As long as it's a JPEG or a PNG format, this should work. Now, some of the newer iPhones, you might have to use your Notes app to take a picture just because the high resolution camera goes cray-cray on it, goes crazy and it can't open. But for most of them, most pictures, if you just take a picture with your phone and upload it to your drive, you can open it as a Google Docs. So I had done that earlier here. Let me go into my distance learning drive file folder. And while I was playing around with it here, I had taken a couple of pictures around my house. And so here's a picture of a sign that I have in my kitchen. Now I opened this, or I put this one into a PDF just to explore. It does the same with the images. Okay. I can't do it. I can't open it like this way. It's telling me I could open it as a Google Docs, but don't go this way because it's not always a sure thing. Instead, open it from your drive. Right click, open with Google Docs. And I think it's the images that it won't give you the option if you get to the black screen. It will take that picture and in a minute. Here we go. Now, granted, the color's off because look, the color here was like a light color here, but you can change the formatting around. That's not a big deal. This one right here, here's an image. I was reading a book. Okay, it was a murder, like kind of one of those, not a trashy book, but like one of those you can read in a night type murder detective mystery book. So I just took a picture of one of the pages. I had taken it upright, but when I uploaded it onto here, it changed the rotation. Okay. And there's the text. Okay. So it works on the pictures that you take. Here is there's another image. Look that it's an image. You can see that it's an image right here of some war and uneasy neutrality old school test. Not get shareable link, open with Google Docs. And you'll see that it will open an editable text. Sometimes it will show the picture up at the top of the screen of the image. So sometimes you'll have to delete that. Okay, so right here it's showing me the image. But if I scroll down below the image, thanks to OCR, yay technology, there's the editable text. Okay, so this is an accessibility / productivity / really cool time saver trick that you can use. Email me if you need some more help, or you can just Google Google OCR and Google Drive for tutorials on how to use it. And that was another tip for you guys.